How you
Well, here I
doing? You're looking good.
am. Yeah, I've grown a plague beard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, this is awesome. So yeah, this is going to take like 10, 12 minutes and we'll talk about the new record, anything else that pops up.
That's great.
All right, let me turn everything on. Let me check levels. Yeah, sounds great. This is pre-recorded, so absolutely. Hey, we're talking about Loudon Wainwright on the internet, that thing that's really been taking off. And your new record seems to be taking off, and it just pops. It's you've been stuck with your dad now for several years in a giant project. Are you escaping your dad now by singing music from his era?
Well, I don't know if I'll never escape my father, and that's as it is, because I'm a living, continuing part of him. And this music, as you say, is from a lot of it is from his era. That is his youth, the 1920s and 30s. The music, the jazz music that he and his parents danced and made love to, and I've it has an appeal for me. I think possibly for that reason. Aside from the fact that it's great music, the songs are great and beautifully written, and the arrangements are terrific, and it was a real fun project to work on.
And given the richness of that music in that era that you're talking about, I mean, was it difficult to narrow it down? You probably love literally hundreds of songs from the 20s and 30s. How do you narrow it down to 14?
Well, my colleagues on this record, Randy Poster and Stuart Lerman, who are the producers of I'd Rather Lead a Band, and the three of us just went back and forth with YouTube videos and MP3s, and we listened to hundreds of songs, really, and somehow I managed to whittle it down to 14. I guess we cut about 16 and then chose 14, but it's a lot of great material. But the songs that we picked are great, and we picked them for various reasons. I mean, I picked some of my picks had to do with my own youth and hearing those records in my dad's record collection, and Randy and Stuart brought stuff to the table themselves.
And You Rascal You, I really love your version of that. And there's a lot of great versions of it. I mean, you're going up against Louis Armstrong and people like that. But what I love about your version is the double entendres come out so clearly and almost like, pointedly.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it's a somewhat risque song, and I'm primarily, or at least I primarily get paid to be a singer-songwriter and to sing my own songs. So when I get an opportunity to sing other people's songs, it becomes a kind of acting job to inhabit the song and to put across what I conceive, what I think is the meaning of the song. And that's a terrific song. You mentioned the Louis Armstrong and the Jack Teagarden versions of those songs, that song, but my version that I was really affected by was a Louis Prima version of it that was recorded in the 1950s with his band Sam Butera and the Witnesses.
And also you do Fats Waller on there, and I've always, I've got all my favorites, right? Everybody's got their favorites. To me, Fats Waller kind of had it all. He was a great singer, a great musician, and a great writer. and I feel like it kind of reminds me of you in a way because you have a lot of different skills that you bring to the table. Is that one of the ones you chose, or one of the ones the other guys chose?
I think Randy suggested Ain't Misbehaving. And the demo he sent to me was Leon Redbone's version of the song, which is great. We do a completely different kind of more traditional take on it. But Leon, of course, was a contemporary of mine. But it is a great song. And Fats Waller, just like you say, a triple threat. I mean, what a piano player, what a writer, what a performer. I mean, his you know, I listened to a lot of Fats Waller when we were making this record, and he's just a delightful guy to listen to.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, you know, did you get to see any of these performers that you're talking about, you know, people that were stars in the 20s and 30s, even though like the ones that lived long enough to be seen by you, did you catch any of these people with big bands?
Well, yeah. I mean, Waller died as a young man. I don't know that he made it into his 40s. He was a hard living guy, but I've seen him in films, you know, and so I've gotten a load of him. Yeah, most of these people, you know, I've heard their records or seen films of them. I mean, I can't say that I've almost met Frank Lesser. You know, we recorded "More I Cannot Wish You" from Guys and Dolls, and a song he wrote with Hoagie Carmichael. You know, Heart and Soul. But I was signed actually to Frank Lesser's publishing company, Frank Music, in 1969, and Frank was in the hospital at that point, dying of lung cancer, and the guy that signed me was going to take me in to meet Frank Lesser and to kind of show me off as a young up and coming lyricist, and unfortunately it never happened. But I'm so glad that we got some of Frank's material on this record.
How liberating is it for you? You know, you talk about your acting in these songs, you know, and I'm assuming with the Charlie Poole record, you did the same thing where you sort of inhabit this other being, which is so different than what you do normally. I mean,
yeah.
Was it really liberating, fun?
Oh yeah, it was very liberating. I mean, you know, again, my main job is to be Loudon Wainwright III, kind of offbeat, kooky, sarcastic, misanthropic, depressed singer-songwriter. But so it's great to have a sabbatical from that and just be a vocalist, you know. And as you say, the first time I really stretched out and did that was when I did the Charlie Poole project with my friend Dick Kinnett. We wrote a few songs for that, but I mostly sang those great songs that he recorded, and I just loved just being an interpreter. You know, if you think about that word, it's kind of finding the meaning or the language of the emotional language of a song. You know, whether it's a hungry hash house or giving it to Mary with love.
Well, I'm assuming a couple of things about this record. One is that you recorded this well before the pandemic, and that were you in the room with the band, and how did the session feel? I mean, just it's got to be like driving a Cadillac to have that behind you. You're the Nighthawks. Yeah. I mean, the Nighthawks. It's an amazing thing.
That's an amazing band. They're really an orchestra. I mean, and Vince, the leader of the band, is just a remarkable musician and leader and emotional force. And his arrangements that he finds and works with are terrific. And all those players are great. We recorded the record about a year ago at a wonderful legendary studio in New York City called Electric Ladyland. I guess Jimi Hendrix started, but we were in one of the big rooms in that studio, and was pre-pandemic, so we were all in the same room, mingling on all kinds of levels.
And it's kind of interesting too, because what I find during this period where I'm just sort of isolated, I don't even go into the radio station, I'm working from home right now, is that I kind of need more up music. And it seems like the record landed at a time when I kind of needed it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, it's a tough time. If it ain't the fires in California, it's the pandemic and the impending November shenanigans, whatever they're going to turn out to be. So music, and this music was the 20s and 30s, which the country was going through hard times too, certainly in the 30s, in the late 20s, with the economic crash. So I think music should do that, to alleviate some of the stress and angst, the national angst. So I like the idea that the record might provide some relief.
When you wrote "Hard Down the Planet," did you imagine you might have been too optimistic or too soft, given the future?
Man, that things were a piece of cake back in 1985 compared to this. I mean, this is pretty wild, of biblical proportion, I'd say. So I think I'm a pessimistic guy, but I think we're going to get through it somehow. I sure hope so.
Yeah. Well, you're looking a little biblical yourself, right now with a beard, kind of a Moses motif that is very impressive.
Now, where did I put those tablets of mine?
Don't drop them.
Oh, there's the burning bush.
Hey, I got to tell you one thing. I'm here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Years ago, I opened up for you, playing at a club called Ella Garou's in Knoxville. And then my girlfriend and I came up to see you in Johnson City one night. And this is a true story. I've never told this on the air, but during your set, you just handed your guitar to me to play a tune up at the Down Home. And it was a thrill that I've never, ever forgotten. And of course, my girlfriend at the time, that was like all it took, to move to the next level. But that was actually a real act of generosity. And I wanted to say that it meant a lot to me then. It means a lot to me now.
Well, sounds like it was a good night. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. So what's next? I mean, do you feel like cleansed from this experience, or you're making the tablets clean again?
Well, the record's coming out next month. I mean, it's or that's its street date, whatever that means. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we were hoping that we would get to do some shows, certainly in the New York area, but that may not happen. So, but there's a few ideas about doing something virtually with the record. It's and then I go back to my regular job, which is writing my songs, and I've written a few new ones, and I'm just proceeding as best I can, like everybody else.
Well, we wish you great luck with all of it, in the biblical times that we're in.
Thank you. I just remembered something that I was trying to remember during the interview, and I've remembered it now, so I want to say it. When we were talking about Fats Waller and what a great performer he was, and I was listening to all those old Fats Wallers, he used to kind of instruct the band when they would stretch out and do solos. He would say, "Latch on, latch on." I mean, it was a saying that I don't think anybody else. It was his, and I loved it, and I temporarily forgot it, but it came to me. It came through one of the tablets, I think.
From the mountaintop. Well, I think
latch on.
We should bring it on. We should bring it back.
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "Latch on."
Yeah, I think that's good advice for 2020 anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Loudon Wainwright, the new record's called "I'd Rather Lead a Band." It's a joyful work. It's exhilarating to listen to. I hope to dance to it live one day when the plague is over.
Well, that's a great thought, and it was lovely to talk to you and see you again.
All right, take care and thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.